Hello, my name is Greg Berry and I'm a technical writer at Sencha. Today we're going to cover how to connect Sencha Inspector to your applications. For a full list of product requirements and installation walkthroughs, please see the installation guide on docs.sencha.com under Sencha Inspector. Before we dive in, let's talk about how Inspector works. Sencha Inspector is a standalone desktop application that hosts its own server via port 1839 on your local machine. Sencha Inspector's internal server then aliases the localhost domain as local.senchainspector.com. Sencha Inspector is then able to communicate with your client applications by way of WebSocket connection. This connection works with client applications hosted on your local development machine via Sencha Command, other local servers, or publicly hosted production applications. Sencha Inspector can communicate with applications running in any browser that supports WebSockets. This includes most all modern desktop and mobile browsers available today. To connect to your applications, we need to tell them where to find Sencha Inspector's internal server. Then, open a WebSocket connection between the two. Let's look at several different methods of connecting Sencha Inspector to your applications. You can connect Sencha Inspector to Sencha applications by using one of these three mechanisms: by way of Sencha App Watch, through the use of a Bookmarklet, or by manually adapting your application. The simplest method is to utilize Sencha Command's Sencha App Watch functionality with a locally running application. First, be sure that Sencha Inspector is running on port 1839. We can verify this by opening the settings panel as seen here. Next, launch the local application using Sencha Command by typing Sencha App Watch with the inspect flag. Open the application in your browser by visiting localhost:1841/ the path to your application. Then go back to Sencha Inspector. You'll notice that your application has been automatically connected. If you want to use Sencha Inspector's theme tab, be sure to append the following to your URL: !platform tags equals fashion:_true. This will activate Inspector's theme tab so that you can make modifications to your application's theme. The Bookmarklet approach may be used in situations where users want to inspect an application that is either already deployed, not running locally, not using Sencha Command, behind an aggressive firewall, or does not need the theme tab. A bookmarklet is similar to a regular browser bookmark, except that a bookmarklet executes a small piece of code rather than redirecting to a website. To create the bookmarklet, open the Connect Your App dialog in Sencha Inspector and then click on Create Bookmarklet. Finally, physically drag the Sencha Inspector Bookmarklet button onto your browser's bookmark bar. Open your application, then click on the bookmarklet. Your application will now show up in Sencha Inspector. The final approach to connecting your application involves some small modifications to your application's code. Don't worry about trying to copy all of the code to follow. You can find all of the snippets at docs.sencha.com under the Sencha Inspector guide called Inspecting Desktop Apps. First, you'll need to add a reference to Sencha Inspector's local API in your app.json file's JS array. Be sure to mark this file as remote and bootstrap. This lets Command know that it should only be utilized in a development build. It's important to note the domain and port being used in this code. These need to match the domain and port where Sencha Inspector can be found. This shouldn't need modification unless you have changed them from the defaults. Next, you'll need to tell your application to connect to Sencha Inspector when it's ready. You can do this by editing your application.js file's launch function to include the following code. This code assumes the default configuration for Sencha Inspector. If you have changed the port number, enabled HTTPS, or need to access Sencha Inspector by a different domain, you'll need to configure that here as well. Once you have your code configured properly, run Sencha App Refresh to update the local metadata. Then run your application with Sencha App Watch and open it in your browser. It should now automatically connect to Sencha Inspector. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Be sure to check back soon for more videos about Sencha Inspector and our many other products. Please visit www.sencha.com to find out how we can further support your development needs.